receive over 200 comments, I don't understand the whole problem. So I ask for just more data. You know, if you use the 5 W's, the who, what, where, when, and why, right, when you write an ICE comment, that will help us direct the resources to try to fix these things. But unfortunately, some of the comments are very vague, and I really don't know exactly what people are talking about. And ICE is not a real-time venue to contact us. If you have an immediate concern or there's an emergency, ICE is definitely not the tool for this. That is the MPs. That is dial 3333 and get the MPs to act immediately. If there is somebody that came onto base and you observe them come onto base illegally, or they shouldn't have come onto base, or there's an incident that occurred, or somebody that is speeding right now through your housing area, ICE comment may not be read for a while, and that doesn't assist me, you know, or what road they were speeding on, not just somebody was speeding through my housing community. If you're an anonymous, you send in an ICE comment that's anonymous, that sadly offers me very little recourse on where to help at. So if it's an immediate concern, please call the MP desk. And I just touched on this. Although ICE comments can be anonymous, you have the ability to be anonymous, I really ask that the only way for me to really address your concern or issue is if you leave your contact information. If you leave that information, I would love to share why certain decisions were made. I would enjoy talking with you and describing, you know, all of the particulars of the action that had to be made or was made. You know, I will call you personally and tell you what resources we have available. I'll ask your opinion on where you think I should direct resources. I'll give you the menu of options or the courses of action that we had to decide from and see which one you would pick. I'm willing to do that, and I'm available to do that. Or just to ask the follow-on questions. So if a vague comment came in, but there's contact information, then we'd have the ability to follow up with you and find out exactly what road you're talking about where there was perpetual speeding or something along these lines. But I will say, and this is only for a very, very small segment of the population, so take it with a grain of salt, no matter if you're anonymous or not, please keep the ICE comments professional. Everybody can read them. I would just prefer them to be in accordance with the Army values, most notably the value of respect. And while I appreciate everybody's passion, certain people have more passion than others when they write ICE comments. And if you start off your ICE comments with "I should be fired" or "Donald Trump should fire me," you know, generally I don't pay that much attention to the rest of what you're trying to describe. Not that I don't disagree with you on that comment, but I just think that, you know, if we address them in a professional manner with an issue, a discussion, and a recommendation, and then especially with contact information so that we can have a two-way discussion, I would really appreciate that. Again, ICE comments can be anonymous, no issue. And if you need to vent and you want to, you know, be passionate, more power to you. But I believe for you to get your point across, a professional comment with contact information is actually a better route to go. And then help me place our limited resources where they can best apply to the situation you're describing. Or help me describe to you the situation as I see it and the facts or assumptions that we are both operating on. So I said I was going to talk about the 17 negative comments. Well, a lot of the negative comments, broadly speaking, just dealt with a few areas. One was our transition to New Beginnings, the new civilian evaluation tool, and the timeliness of getting New Beginnings out to the workforce. That should be dealt with supervisors directly, as New Beginnings is actually a communication tool between the employee and the supervisor. So if you don't feel like you are being treated well by your supervisor, I mean, this is in essence what New Beginnings is getting after. So I just ask for those people that have trouble with New Beginnings, the first step is this exact discussion with your supervisor. And I'll be dealing with that in a employee, Thomas, or when is our employee town hall, our employee information briefing? The 12th, that's right. So the 12th, we have an employee information briefing at Eisenhower Hall, and this is a great time for the Garrison employees to bring those issues up. Okay, so that was one batch of the negative comments. So again, when you talk trend analysis, the second was the loss of Delafield Pond, and lumped in with that was the loss of the library that was on post here. So basically, the lumping together is just the lack of services that we're providing in the Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Department. I asked the people that are very passionate about those to come see me. Come sit down and let me describe the environment to which we are working in. And let me offer to you the resources that we have been given and the way we are applying them. Now, Delafield Pond, we've talked a lot about this. I have lost not an ounce of sleep over closing Delafield Pond. Now you're going to say, oh my gosh, shame on you, you should be fired. Yes, again, I agree with you on that point, but not about Delafield Pond. Delafield Pond, the reason it was such an easy decision is because it is a safety issue. You can discuss with me if you think it's a safety issue or not. I have the documentation that says the dam would fail, not might fail, would fail. If you or your loved one was swimming in that pond and the dam failed, you would never, ever forgive me for opening that pond up. Ever. So would you rather have some playtime in Delafield Pond or not, if you have to weigh those decisions? To me, easy decision. Safety reasons, can't be opened. It's my duty to provide an alternative. The alternative we've provided is Round Pond. From the feedback I've received on Round Pond, people are appreciative of the efforts that were made out there by the Department of Public Works and by Morale, Welfare, Recreation. And I believe the family can enjoy Round Pond. Now, is it a further drive? Yes. Did we lower the price? Yes. We're trying our best. And I know that our best is not good enough in some respects, but in this, I think we're doing a pretty good job. And then what to do with Delafield Pond? I'm not going to leave it being a hole out there in the middle of the garrison. We want and are soliciting feedback on what to do with Delafield Pond, what to make it in the future. Many people have many ideas. My idea, our idea, is to try to develop it into another water recreation facility. You know, I think it's centered in the middle of Post. I think it would be accessible by all. I think it could turn into a very good recreation spot. It could be indoor-outdoor pool, could be year-round swimming. So give us time. And I know that that's potentially a lot to ask. You won't see anything happen there for a while. It'll be past my tenure. First, we just have to decide what that property should be used for. And again, in my view, the lead course of action is to make it into a recreational spot, again, where families can enjoy it here on Main Post, centrally located between Stony and Lee and equidistant, basically, from all those locations. But you'll have to bear with us as we work with the senior commander, Lieutenant General Caslin, on what should become of Delafield Pond. So that deals with most of the ICE comments that were negative. Finally, the last little group was bears. So bears is a very, very difficult problem, more difficult than you can imagine. All I can say right now, keep calling 3333 if you have bears rummaging around in the neighborhoods. It helps us track the bears, it helps us direct resources to the bears, it helps us get the game wardens there for the bears, and our task is to keep the community safe. We have to do it by, working through all the appropriate laws and regulations that deal with wildlife management here. West Point will never be free of bears. Okay, I think that's a fact. When you have a place just down the road called Bear Mountain, I believe that bears have been here. So bears are just going to be part of the experience. But we have to make it a safe part of the experience, and I understand that. Now, I'm not trying to be flippant. Don't take my comments the wrong way. We do take this serious, and we expend a lot of resources on it, the resources that I control. Thank goodness here we don't have a nuisance bear. A bear that has been threatening to people. And when we do, or if we have that, that allows us to do different things. The only way we will get to that point is if you keep calling the MP desk and getting the game wardens out there to monitor and track the activity of the bear population. And as I stated last time, 7 bears were harvested from the last hunting season. How will that change the dynamic here? I don't know yet. All right. So again, ICE, help me. Resources, help me apply the resources we have in the most appropriate place to do the most good. So you'll hear a lot of disclaimers in there. Most appropriate place to do the most good. I can't do it all, and I apologize for that, but I can't. Lastly, and then I'll get off the stage, we have significant turnover in our staff and the directorates coming this summer. This will be Ms. Maura DeMulin's last official meeting with us here, as she is retiring, and we want to wish her well as she goes on her way off into her retirement career, whatever that will be. As is Lieutenant Colonel Matt Allison. He's basically just quitting and leaving us here, and we say good riddance. And then, no, actually, Matt, we do appreciate all you've done. Matt has been a terrific officer, and I can rib him like this because he takes it with a grain of salt, and he does Herculean efforts every day to appease people here and do the right thing and follow the regulations and the rules that we have. But I just want to say, Matt, thanks for nothing. And then finally, I'm just kidding. Thank you for everything you do, Matt. Sadly, our Director of Human Resources, Mr. John Grayson, if you didn't know, he passed away on the 24th of May. And our heartfelt wishes are to his family. So, a very difficult situation there. So we have the 2 directors retiring and Mr. Grayson's passing. So with that, I didn't want to end on such a sad note, but I thought the community should know. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Joe Colombo and DPTMS.
Good morning. I'm going to cover several areas. One is significant events all the way through this fall. I'll talk just a moment about desktop alert and then also our emergency preparedness fair. Next slide, please. So you see some of our significant events that are scheduled for June. The band concert series begins this summer in June, and also you'll notice that there will be several motorcycle rides or bicycle rides that typically occur throughout the summer, and we have 2 in June. In July, our day is scheduled for the 3rd of July for USMA, and our Independence Day concert is on the 8th of July with a inclement weather date of 9 July. There's a flyer before you leave. Please take one for your community. It talks about a safety message, and it'll also be put out in the point of view by Mr. Hamilton. And you'll see the rest of the concerts throughout July. And the new cadet visitation day, which is on the plane, 23 July, that's always a good date for our outside community to expose themselves to the new families. Next slide. You'll see August, the remaining concerts for August. And then you'll notice the USMA March Back, the Brigade Run on the installation, and then the beginning of the academic year with Ring Weekend on the 25th to the 27th of August. In September, our first home football game is on a Friday evening on the 1st, and then the Labor Day weekend, the Buffalo Soldier wreath-laying ceremony, and then the Labor Day concert concludes the concert series for the summer. And you'll see the rest of the month of September, some of our football games and activities, and of particular note is the fall community yard sale on the 16th of September, and it's in conjunction with our community preparedness fair. Next slide. October, Thayer Award is on the 19th of October. I think it was just announced the recipient of this year's Thayer Award was former President George W. Bush. And November, our final home football game for the season. Key events, you'll see the holiday show and our tree lighting. Next slide. Desktop alert, just a reminder that sponsors create a profile for the pendants And if you're departing the installation for a follow-on assignment, just remind your sponsor to terminate their profile. If not, they might be getting a message, an alert message at Fort Stewart or somewhere else where they're going. And sign up is very easy. Through our office, if you need assistance, you can contact us at 2516, and we can help you with the desktop alert. Next slide. And just a reminder that put a little reminder for yourself in your calendar. 16 September is our preparedness fair. It's a great time to get out and learn more about preparing yourself for any type of emergency. We focus a lot on the kids and also bring your pets. With that, any questions? If not, I'll turn it over to Colonel Allison.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Colonel Allison with the Director of Emergency Services. As Colonel Hanson just stated, we've been just coming out of our training session, which culminated with a active shooter scenario at the LRC, and we're currently going through a lot of transition within the organization, but we're continuing to strive to provide the community with professional services. Next slide, please. I just want to cover some trends from a law enforcement and fire department perspective. Most notably, the one comment we traditionally get, speeding on the installation. And what I did is I showed the numbers from last year at this time compared to this year at this time. And while you read that and you'll say, hey, it's up, a lot of speeding going on post, there's some other things that impact on that. We have more patrols out. If you've noticed, we just ended up with several new patrol cars, so we're able to put more patrols on the road, and then we've gotten soldiers into training as well, which has increased our capacity to go out and conduct speed enforcement. So I attributed that to say, I think in a professional opinion, it's about average of where we're at. We just have a better way of getting it after it this year than we have in past. The other thing I'd like to bring to your attention is trespassing. We have several instances, specifically at Lee Gate, where people are going either over or through the gate. So the gate is there, obviously, for a reason, and it's closed for a reason. You are not allowed to squeeze through the gate or go over it, and there obviously are consequences to that. So just bring that up for your attention. If you know someone who happens to feel like they're going to jog and go out that route, we're watching, and we will treat it accordingly. We've also had an increase, as you can see, between last year and this year, this time, in possession of marijuana, specifically at the gates. Again, we've increased through training and some physical security equipment, our ability to detect that, so to deter people from bringing it on here, period. But again, we have stepped up our effort to catch that at the gate. Another one that patrols have noticed, seatbelt violations, and typically law enforcement officers will give you the benefit of the doubt, just ask you to put it on. But obviously, if you read anything about that, it definitely benefits you from having seatbelts on. Difference, and if you get into the speed limit on post, the difference between an impact at 15 or 20 miles an hour versus 30 miles an hour is significant. So seatbelt is there, obviously, for your protection. Advise you to use it. And then finally, the last one from a law enforcement perspective, the Real ID Act. And you can see I have all of the states on there in compliance. Obviously, if you're in compliance, you need to worry about it. Non-compliant. And then the dates coming up. Obviously, today, you can see those states that will be non-compliant. If they're granted an extension, that will happen today. So that could change one way or another. Of note, October 10th, you can see a lot of states in the surrounding area, to include New York, become non-compliant. So what's non-compliant mean? And we've talked about this numerous times in the past. Non-compliant just means that your driver's license is not accepted to get on a federal installation, which obviously impacts us. It also means that you could have an issue at the airport depending on what other documentation you have. There were 2 links that I had, but they will be on the Garrison Facebook page. There's on the West Point homepage, there's a link for all the extra documents you can bring with you. Passport, anything with an ID, to include a school library card, can serve as backup to your driver's license to come on the installation. As for the airport, the one link will take you directly to Homeland Defense, and it explains to you exactly what you need to bring with you at the airport if you are one of the non-compliant states. Next slide. West Point Fire Department, just several key things to talk about. Obviously, we are in barbecue season, so just a friendly reminder, do not barbecue underneath a overhang, inside the garage, all the common sense things out there people tend to do in the summertime, gets in a little bit of trouble. The number one issue for us continues to be candles inside residents on post. It's the number one cause of fires that we responded to. Again, summertime, if you are out on a boat, personal flotation device. And then also, obviously, we've had issues at Round Pond in the past with those who are non-swimmers venturing out too far. Just use common sense based off your ability to swim. If you have any incidents, 3333, that will get you right to the fire department, and they'll respond accordingly. Next slide. The Visitor Control Center statistics, again, I like to show that just because I know that there are varying degrees of its necessity with the installation. But as you can see, we continue to catch people coming on the post and preventing them from being inside our community in some cases. Of note on there, you had the 17 drug possessions with intent to distribute or sell. And the reason I bring that up, obviously, the increase at the gates, and I'll tie those 2 together. The 2 grand larcenies, and it goes on down the line. So again, I think that it's definitely value added in protecting our community and our children, as well as safeguarding our property on the installation. Next slide, please. Colonel Hanson touched on it briefly. So the one thing that I'd bring up, there's been a slight increase in bear calls so far this year. I think that probably has a lot to do with an increase in number of people who are sensitive to it, and the fact that we're asking everyone to call so that we can continue to track the numbers. And we've gone through this in years past on what our actions are and what we're allowed to do in terms of MPs and military police game wardens. I would tell you that we've done a lot of training with the New York State game wardens. If you were around during graduation, we had the bear and the 2 cubs down by the Thayer Hotel, and we reacted to that in conjunction with the New York State game wardens. So we've increased our training, we've increased our capability to deal with the bears. However, the policies and the regulations are still the same. So I continue to ask you, as Colonel Hanson stated, call us as soon as you see one so we can take care of the issue immediately. So with that, if there are any questions, next slide. Yeah.
Well, I want to welcome everybody and thank you for either joining or coming. And I basically a lot of my information that I'm going to be providing to you is based off of generally trying to answer ICE comments as well, but not exclusively ICE comments. So who, what, where? So who are we? So residential community initiatives, Belford Beatty Community Housing. So I'm the government side. They're the manager and the owner in case people aren't familiar with the differences. So what do we do at the RCI office? We help with policy and procedure and instruction on the installation. Where are we located at? We're located in the white building next to the cemetery. Belford Beatty is Belford Beatty is located at 126 Washington Road, the big house with the wraparound porch. And then our phone numbers are there in case you need them. So another concern that I've heard a lot over is BAH. So how is BAH determined? So it's an independent study that is done and initiated by a DoD contracted company. We provide them information about Belfort Beatty, about the local area. The results are submitted to the Department of Defense. The allowances are determined, and then it's proprietary information that we do not see until that following January. Next slide. So then another common question is, what does our BAH pay for? Where does our BAH go? So this is just a chart that shows you basically, so reinvestment deposits, that's going back into the project for future development. The debt is paying back the loan, and then operating expenses is 28%, so that takes care of the maintenance. And then what goes to Belfort Beatty specifically? 6%. So they're not, there's a climate that your BAH is going exclusively to them. And I just wanted to demonstrate for everybody the reality of that situation. Next slide, please. So when the Department of Defense decided to go to BAH completely by 2006, this was their idea of how the BAH should be determined based on what your entitlement should be based on your grade. So as you can see, there is a 2-bedroom townhouse for E5s. Now we know on the installation that E5s and E6s and above, the enlisted folks, are pretty much living in nicer housing than that. So I just wanted to kind of like demonstrate to you what you're getting for your money here at West Point. If you were to live maybe out in the local community, this is what you would have been expected to move into. Okay. So our next slide. So I just wanted to give you information on what you can look forward to on the horizon. So Belfort Beatty is in the process right now of doing gutter cleaning throughout the installation. Their focus right now, they're working on trees. But their focus is to take care of the dead trees first, because those, of course, are an obvious safety hazard to everyone. And then within the Lee and Band area housing, they're also doing tree pruning, concrete repairs, and sidewalk and porch repairs. So just to let you know a little bit about what they're working on. Amongst the 5,000 other things they're working on, this is what their focus is right now for landscaping. Pending anyone's questions, I'll turn it over to Maura.
Good afternoon. I'm going to give a couple of updates, and then I'm going to turn it over to the division chiefs. The first, next slide. These are some of our very colorful flyers that are outside if you'd like to take one on your way out. One thing I'd like to point out, a few things I'd like to point out is that we have a new run on the 14th of June, the 30 Cal Trail Run. It will be at a different time and place. It'll be at H slot, and it'll be at 1600. The other thing I'd like to point out on the far end is we have a new flyer for lunches. It tells you where you can go on post for all your lunch venues, as well as birthday parties. We have birthday parties at different venues, and I have those flyers outside for to tell you where we are for the birthday parties. I'd like to say also that June is Father's Day. Don't forget the Father's Day brunch, and it's the Army birthday. That's June 14th, but we will, I'm not going to celebrating it, but the band is having a concert where we'll have an Army birthday cake. If it's not the 14th, it'll be around that time. And I also want to Let you know that our summer activities are underway. Our summer camps are in various places. Our child care summer camp. We have a Morgan Farm summer camp. We have arts and crafts summer camp. Those flyers are out there. Some of the camp weeks are full, so they've been being publicized for the last few months. And please, if you haven't visited Round Pond, come visit, because it does offer more than just a swim area. It offers a playground, it offers hiking, boating, paddle boards. It can be really a great entertainment area. And before I hand it over to the division chiefs, I'd just like to say it's been truly my pleasure to have worked here for the last 33 years, serving you, and hopefully I've made a difference, but I can't think of anywhere else I would have loved to come to work every day other than this beautiful place. So thank you. Lisa will follow me.
Good afternoon. I'd like to take a few moments to provide information on Stony Child Development Center room openings, family child care, and upcoming events in CYS services. CYS Services is pleased to announce that the Stony CDC will be opening up a full-day classroom by 1 September. Although the hiring freeze temporarily set us back, we are moving forward filling classrooms off of the wait list. CYS has a plan in place, and we are optimistic that we'll be able to successfully execute our plan to fill the remaining classrooms by our designated goal. CYS Services is actively recruiting for family child care providers. FCC is a great opportunity for those that want to stay home with their children. You can become a certified provider and supplement your family's income by caring for children within your home. More information is provided on our website, and we have some flyers here as well. The flyers are located as you exit the door on your left-hand side for those that are interested. Flyers for FCC and information on CYS programs, activities, and upcoming classes are being offered and located on the side table. Also, the CYS Skies Director and School Liaison are here in attendance today. They're sitting in the back table, and they're willing to meet with you after the briefing for those who may have questions. A friendly reminder to all CYS patrons, all CYS facilities and services are closed on 16 June for our biannual training day. Further information about opportunities and activities within CYS can be found on our website and on Facebook. Pending any questions, I will be followed by Chris Remillard for Recreation Division. Thank you.
Good afternoon. How are we all doing? Little rain, we'll see how it is. So summer is in full swing for us. As we've said, we're the outdoor folks. We're the people doing all the different stuff. Round Pond Beach is open. We did a lot of work. We had a lot of help from DPW. We brought in tons of sand. They've expanded the beach area. If you haven't seen it yet, please do come out and visit. It is quite a different experience than it was in the past. August 26th is a big day. Not only is it part of Ring Weekend, it is also the Spartan Race here at West Point. We'll be doing that out of Lake Frederick. Right now, there are about 2,500 runners signed up. Also on post that day, there is the Ring Run, which is being done in conjunction with the parents of the students receiving their rings, which will be going off from the fitness center that morning. Leisure travel is all over the place this summer. They're going from wineries in the Gunks down to New York City. So if you haven't experienced those or gone on those trips, please do come try those different things. Let's see, we are also doing stand-up paddleboard yoga on Fridays and Saturdays this summer. We've just released the full class schedule on our website, as well as registration can be done in person or online. We also have the summer movie series coming up. Again, we were able to receive some money, so we have some fun different movies, outdoor free movies, which will be done at H-Lot Field. This summer's movies are Lego Batman, Moana, Finding Dory, Secret Life of Pets, and Sing. That entire schedule is available on our website. We also, the Alda Skills Center, we'd like to thank you for our patrons to coming. That is very busy. We did have to reduce hours and restructure that program, but we were very busy Thursday through Saturday, so please keep coming and we'll try to build that program back up and make it a success story here at West Point. And lastly, we have received the results of the dog park survey. We are in receipt of the money for the upgrades of the dog park. We are now going to calculate what we can afford and what we can buy in conjunction with DPW and our other partners to upgrade the West Point dog park, because we know that is the community desire. Other than that, unless anyone has any questions, hope you all have a wonderful summer. And here is Jen Partridge from ACS.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jen. I'm the AFAP Program Manager. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about AFAP. For those of you that are watching, if you have those burning issues, you want to change programs, services, regulations, AFAP is your way to do this. We actually have 2 meetings a year. The leadership reviews your issues. Our next meeting is in September, so if you're wanting to know how to create change, you can go on a couple of sites. First of all, the West Point MWR AFAP page has a link to the issue management system. And then also encourage all of you, if you don't already have an account, under myarmyonesource.com. If you go on that site, a lot of great information, but there is a link for AFAP IMS on there. So you may want to know what's been happening with AFAP. We just had an update on our local issues in March. And Chris just talked about the dog park. That was an AFAP issue. So we did receive a grant, $15,000. So we're looking at ways to improve those dog parks, which was something that you wanted in the community. Other issues ongoing, the living quarters for the single soldiers, that's in progress. They're due to be completed this summer. So that was an AFAP issue. We had a new issue that came up, transportation. The community wanted transportation to the youth center. So starting in June, we're going to have transportation on post that will take the children that want to go to the youth center. So that was an issue that came forward. So you can look forward to that. So bring those issues. We're here to help. ICE, of course, is available, but AFAP is more a bigger picture type program where you need to have action officers involved. So it's a great, successful program. And thank you all for continuing to let us know what changes you'd like. Any questions about AFAP? I'll turn it over for our question session.
Okay, everybody, I think we're doing pretty good on time. We have about 37 minutes for questions, and that's a lot more time than we had before. So I want to appreciate the panel for being up here, and now I'll open it up for questions for anybody that's in the audience. If you have something, please grab the mic and talk into it, or raise your hand and I'll call on you. And I see no questions in the audience, so we'll turn over to questions that are coming in online. Question 1, go Navy. That is a question, and I don't know how to answer it. That's it. All right, well, we'll stand by for more questions. Or if anybody has a question, please. I'm sure we didn't answer everybody's concern out there.
I had a question that was raised to me by a community member just yesterday. The recycling program, I guess there were some bins that were removed. Do we still have recycling on post? There was a couple of bins, I guess, around the education center that had been removed.
Yeah, we'll check on that, but yes, we do still have a recycling program.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, Chris?
The reason they were removed, because we worked with DPW on that one, there was a lot of trash and stuff being dumped in those bins. There was a lot of trash and things being dumped in those different bins, so at the request between DPW and ourselves, they were removed because they're become trash bins versus recycling. So those why those bins did come out.
Okay, thank you. I'll relay that information.
Where were they at, Jim?
I was told by the education center subway area.
Education.
By the far end, sir, there's in front of the fitness center, there were a couple bins that were turned into trash bins.
Okay, by the fitness center. Okay. And education center. Okay. Anybody else? Anything, Tom, on Facebook today? No, sir. Okay. Oh, okay, we have one there.
Afternoon, everybody. James Gallagher, Director of the Commissary. I didn't end up on the agenda. I wanted to be here for the community. I just had a few things I wanted to offer to the community. First and foremost, the commissary is here to provide safe food for the soldiers, their families, and our retirees. Recently, there's been some social media activity about the commissary. When it's on the social media sites, there's no way I can fix any issues at the commissary. So if you have any issues with the commissary, please notify myself, my assistant, or any manager on duty. So if there are any issues in the commissary, we can fix them for the rest of the community. We'd really appreciate that. I've got some exciting new things going on at the commissary. We are in a transition phase. Over the last few years, there's been a lot of negative action against the commissary. They were going to do away with the commissary. They were going to cut our budget for the commissary. They were going to close the commissaries in the U.S. and just be open in Oconus. So there was a lot of things going on in the last 3 to 4 years. Working with legislation and the Congress, we have been able to keep our appropriation, but we have some transitions coming. Before, we were able to just sell products at cost as they came into our store. The Congress is going to be able to let us do some different pricing to sort of match what you're seeing outside the gate, Walmart, ShopRite, Hannaford. We also are going to have our own brand at the commissary now. Our products are going to be called Home Base. Our line of products that are non-edibles are going to be Home Base, paper products, detergent products, and we will have a Freedom's Choice product that will be the edible products. They are exclusive to the commissary. They will be equal to or better than the national brand and be priced at the pricing of Walmart or lower. Just take, for example, this Home Base trash bag. Our price is $7.06. Hefty is $11.99. Right now, we're going to have approximately 300 to 400 of these products coming into the commissary for you by the end of August. This is a 3 to 4 year program. At the end of the program, we will have between 3,000 and 4,000 new products, Home Base and Freedom's Choice, at our commissary for the community. If you ever have any questions, please notify. Come see me at the commissary or one of my managers. And again, any issues at the commissary, please let us know so we can fix anything for the whole community. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Great, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, we have one question in today, just a rehash of the date of the Spartan race.
26th of August.
The 26th of August is the Spartan race, and that will be held out at Lake Frederick area on the 26th of August. More information can be found on probably the Spartan website and the MWR website. I appreciate the information, James, from the commissary. Colonel Eric Soames, I'll just see if you have any comments that you want to provide the community.
Okay. I'm Eric Soames. I'm the hospital commander over at Keller. Just wanted to provide a few things for everybody's knowledge. We have actually 3 pediatricians total this summer. We're hiring a new one, which is kind of important because folks have been going off post because they haven't been able to come in because of the peds hiring. So that's good news. Another item I wanted to talk about was just the ticks. We had a very warm winter this past winter, and so therefore we're anticipating more ticks that will be coming up. So I'm getting a brief later today, actually tomorrow, on the current status of where we're at with Camp Buckner as well as on post. So last year, just to go over kind of what we saw last year, we had about a 40%, if you looked at roughly 10 ticks, 4 of them had the Lyme disease. We're very close to the epicenter of where the Lyme disease originated from, about 50 miles. So we do a a drag, roughly, is you take a sheet out and we have a certain area that we cover at Camp Buckner, for example. It's calculated how many ticks you get on the drag itself, but last year we averaged 22 ticks an hour at Camp Buckner. On post is roughly 4 per hour. This was last year. So we just did another drag at the end of May, and that's the results I will be getting back tomorrow to see where we're at with that. But just to reiterate, you know, if you find ticks on your kids or on the dogs, to make sure that you remove them in a timely manner, but also you have to remove everything, which includes the head, and sometimes that's really tough to do. The other one is the Zika virus. Last year, that was, you know, a big spin-up. We aren't necessarily, we're on the outer rim of that. I think the outer rim is roughly up at Washington, D.C., just because, as you can see, the climate is not as conducive as it is down the south. But if you do have standing water in the area, make sure that you dump it over, whether it's inside your own little pools that you have, or because of what we're seeing out here this last week, there's standing water, and that's where the larvae basically can hatch from. So what we've done is we've also done another run or spotted about 5 different locations here on post, and we look at these traps roughly one per, we look at them weekly, but then we send whatever we find down to Fort Meade. It takes about 3 weeks to basically get the information back from Fort Meade, which includes the ticks that we find, we send down as well to get an idea. I'm not necessarily at all concerned with Zika virus up here, but also remember, if you do travel, that you make sure you take the precautions or you learn of where you're headed to before you travel to those locations. The other one is the Joe surveys. Usually when we have folks come to Keller, and you'll see some large checks that are written on the walls from each one of the sections there. The Joe surveys are the joint patient surveys, and usually when you go to Keller and you return, you get something in the mail, and it's by random that you get these. Keller this last April, or excuse me, last month, was #1 in the nation as well as internationally for Army medicine, meaning we were the #1 hospital as far as patient satisfaction. We were at 99.2, which is phenomenal. So I want to thank you all, because each time you fill that out and you give us the surveys back and we hit the 4 or the 5, just like Belford hits the 5, I think you get money back for that. We get $1,000 per survey that we get back. So last month we hit $109,000 roughly is what we received back. We give that back to each one of the different sections within there, whether it's dermatology, and it's all calculated, but MedCom gives us money, which in turn we give it back down to the clinics. They in turn are buying new equipment for you all, whether it's in the PT sections or so forth. We're also ranked #1 in the pharmacy throughout the whole MedCom, and #1 in radiology. So those surveys are important. Just don't rip them up, because that's actually money, $1,000 per survey. So I just wanted to reiterate that that's very important. Subject to your questions. All right. Andy?
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it for the information. All right, no other questions that have come in online, no other questions here in the audience. So in closing, I want to thank everybody for your participation today in our Community Leadership Information Forum. I hope everybody found it useful. I guess we did a pretty good job because we didn't have very many questions. For those that posted questions, or if you have a question that you want to add later or after you view the YouTube feed or the video feed later, you can always put it on through our different media. You can email us at the U.S. Army Garrison West Point at usma.army.mil, or visit our website at www.westpoint.army.mil. And, of course, put in ICE comments. Tell us if this is a good forum, if you liked it, if it was educational, or if it helped you in any way, or ways to make it better and improve it. So thank you very much, and have a great day.